Hey guys, can you hear me? Okay, I hope I'm audible. Alright, I am audible. That's great. So, on that note, let's begin. Hello, one and all. Welcome to today's stream. It is our third YouTube live session today, and as you can see on my screen, today we'll be discussing about AI driven web development. We'll be talking about how to unlock career opportunities with GitHub. So, let's begin on that note. Today we'll be discussing about GitHub in detail. We'll be creating a website on GitHub. We'll try to host it. We'll try to understand how is GitHub important for job opportunities, career opportunities in future. If we recap our previous YouTube session, we were discussing about Git and GitHub, how Git and GitHub help us in keeping a track of our code, updating our portfolio, collaborating with the programmers on GitHub, etc. So today we'll be going into the depth of GitHub. In the previous session, we had discussed about Git in details. Today we'll be discussing about GitHub, and we'll also have a look at why is GitHub important. We will also be creating a website on GitHub. We'll start off with a basic skeleton of the website. So the first question that comes into our mind is, what exactly is GitHub? So GitHub is a web-based platform that allows developers to collaborate on and manage software projects. It serves as a version control system again, enabling multiple developers to work on the same project simultaneously while keeping a track of changes which are made to the project. As discussed, Git and GitHub, they work as version control systems and they keep a track of your code. No matter where you are at any remote place, you can collaborate using GitHub. With GitHub, developers can create something called as repositories. We'll come back to this word in a minute. These repositories, they store their code and easily manage different branches for different features or bug fixes. Branches, if we go back to the previous session, we had discussed how we can create various branches to create new features without actually affecting the code or affecting the features that have been created before. GitHub provides tools for code review, issue tracking, and project management, which makes it easier for teams to work together on software development projects. GitHub also has a special social aspect, allowing the developers to follow each other, discover popular projects, and contribute to open source software. Let's say you see a code and you think, like I would like to present this idea to the developer. So that way you can contribute to something called as an open source software, open source project. It has become an integral part of the developer community, facilitating collaboration, knowledge sharing, and the advancement of software development. Now, if we look at the advantages of GitHub, GitHub offers several advantages for developers and teams which are collaborating on software projects. If we talk about version control, GitHub provides a powerful version control system allowing the developers to track changes which are made to the code base over the time period. This enables the team to work simultaneously on different features or bug fixes, to merge the changes seamlessly and to roll back to previous versions if needed, as discussed in the previous session again. Collaboration. GitHub simplifies collaboration by providing tools for code review, issue tracking, and project management. Developers easily propose changes, comment on specific lines of code, and have discussions within the context of the code base itself. This actually fosters teamwork, it improves the code quality, and streamlines the development process. When you look at the third advantage, it is remote work and distributed teams. GitHub is basically a cloud based, meaning that developers can access their repositories for anywhere with an internet connection. This makes it ideal for remote work and distributed teams. It allows the developers to work together seamlessly regardless of their physical location. Let's say you are traveling and you have a deadline to cater to, so GitHub will help in that. You can travel, you can have a remote work location and still contribute to the project going on. Community and open source. GitHub has a vast, wide, and vibrant community of developers. It serves as a hub for open source project, making it easy to discover and contribute to a wide range of software. This encourages knowledge sharing, collaboration, and the collective improvement of software development practices, documentation, and integration. GitHub provides tools for creating documentation alongside the code, which actually makes it easier to maintain an up to date and accessible document for projects that can be shown to the client at any point of time. It also integrates with various development tools and services such as continuous integration and deployment platforms, project management tools, and code analysis services. Security and backup. GitHub offers robust security features, including encryption, two factor authentication, and access control to protect repositories and sensitive code. Additionally, GitHub automatically backs up code and provides a reliable infrastructure, reducing the risk of data loss. So, overall, if I just summarize, GitHub enhances collaboration, code quality, project management, etc., and it makes it a valuable platform for developers and team working on software projects. So if you look at the advantages of GitHub, it makes it an ideal tool which can help in version control and which is an ideal tool for developers all around the world. Now we had spoken about the word repository. We actually spoke about it a couple of times. So what exactly is a repository? Repository in simple language is basically a folder which is present on GitHub. A repository, which is often referred to as repo as well, is a central storage location where software projects and their related fields are stored, managed, and version controlled as well. In the context of GitHub, a repository is a container that holds all the files, folders, documentation, and resources which are related to a particular project. So basically, a folder in which you store all the files, and a folder which is named with a particular project name has all the files related to that particular project. When you create a repository on GitHub, what actually happens? So it acts as a remote repository which is hosted on GitHub platform. Developers can clone this repository, making a duplicate. Cloning means making a duplicate. So developers can duplicate this repository to their own local machine they want. They can make changes and then push those changes back to the remote repository. So basically, contribution to open source projects is possible. Now, these repositories they play a crucial role in version control. They keep a track of all the changes which are made to the code base, which allows the developers to easily collaborate, review the changes, and revert to previous versions if needed anytime. Any change made to the code base is recorded as a commit, which includes a unique identifier. The author, the date, the time of change, and other specific details which are made to this files. If you remember again in the previous session, we were talking about commit and how when you commit a certain change, you can write a message like this is the thing I have added or removed or modified. You can write a message and it creates a unique keyword every time. So you can use that keyword to roll back to any previous version if needed. Repositories can be public or private. Public repositories are accessible to anyone, allowing for open source collaboration and community contributions. On the other hand, private repositories are only visible and accessible to authorized individuals or teams, basically providing a more restricted and secure environment for confidential projects. In addition to code, repositories can also include other project related fields, maybe documentation, images, configuration files, or project specific resources as well. This makes repositories a comprehensive and organized way to manage and collaborate on software projects. So, that was all about a theoretical explanation on what is GitHub, the advantages, and what is a repository. Let's go into the technical terms of it. Let's try to create a website on GitHub. Let's try to host it and let's see how it goes. But before we go into the details of writing the code, whenever you are trying to create a website, there are three things you need to take into consideration. First of all is hypertext markup language, or which is more usually pronounced as HTML. HTML being a structuring language, it is used for structuring the elements of your code. The distribution of HTML, CSS, and JavaScript in a website can honestly vary depending on the complexity and functionality of the site. However, as a general guideline, the distribution is typically as shown on the screen. Now, what exactly does HTML, CSS, and JavaScript do? So, HTML is responsible for the structure and content of the web page. It defines the element and the layout of the page, including the headings, paragraphs, images, links, and other structural components. On an average website, HTML can account for roughly 20 to 50% of the code. CSS, which stands for Cascading Style Sheet. When you create a website using HTML, the website turns out to be a black and white website because there is no styling given to it. That is when CSS comes handy. CSS, or Cascading Style Sheets, as said earlier, is used for styling and presentation. When I say styling, everything from changing the background color to changing the font to changing the font family to giving it a transition, making it a dynamic website, everything is taken care of in the CSS. Controlling the visual appearance of the web page is basically done by your cascading style sheet. It handles aspects like colors, fonts, layouts, and responsive design, or what we call as a dynamic website. The percentage of CSS in a website can again vary, but usually it falls in the range of 20 to 40%, almost similar to what HTML does. Let's talk about JavaScript. JavaScript is a programming language that adds functionality, that adds interactivity and dynamic behavior to the web pages. It enables functionalities such as form validation, interactive elements, animation, and AJAX requests. The percentage of JavaScript in a website can again vary depending on the level of interactivity and complexity. However, it typically ranges from 20 to 40% as well. So if you look at these three elements of a website, let's assume an e-commerce website that you know of. So whatever you can see, let's say the e-commerce website is selling clothes. So when you see the images of clothes placed one next to each other, adjacent to each other, that is what HTML has done for you. If you see, it has various colors and it looks tidy, neat and tidy, good to our eyes, appealing to our eyes. That is where CSS came into picture. And if you can buy that product by adding it into the cart, doing a net banking and all sort of stuff, that is where JavaScript comes into picture. So it is very important to note that these percentages are just a rough estimate, and of course it can vary based on specific project requirements. Some websites may have a higher percentage of JavaScript if they heavily rely on complex interactions, while others may prioritize HTML and CSS for content focused pages, right? If there is no interactivity present at all. The distribution may also be influenced by the use of frameworks or libraries or content management systems. We'll be taking care of these in our further YouTube live sessions. Don't worry about that. So these can affect the relative proportions of these technologies. So let's have a look at our website creation on GitHub. So for that, the first thing I need is a GitHub account. So I have a GitHub account already, and all I need to do is first of all create a repository, the folder that we were talking about, in which we can put all our files. So I'll just create a new, I'll just say GitHub web test. You can name it anything you want. I'm keeping it public so that it is open source and anyone can access it. You can give it a description you want, you can add a readme file, anything. The readme file is basically you can write a long description for your project, a file that basically talks about your project. So as soon as you create a repository, let's have a look at my readme file currently. My readme file just has the name of my project, that is GitHub a web test. Now first let me show you how you can actually host any code if you have. So if I just go to settings, all I need to do is I need to go to pages and create a page that can host my GitHub code. From the page, select the branch. Sometimes it can be main, sometimes it can be master. Don't worry if in case you have a master branch. That totally depends on the GitHub account. So now I have a main branch created. Currently, I don't have any code written so far. All I have is my README file. So what happens when I create a page? Let's go back to actions over here. So it will start page building and page deployment. Now this might take anywhere from 1 to 3 minutes to build. So once a page is built, you will get a link on which your website is hosted or is set live. So let's give it a couple of seconds before it is done deploying the code. So it has built it. Let's wait for the deployment to work. Okay, the report build status is also done. Only deployment is pending. So you'll get a GitHub IO link on which your code, your website is hosted. So currently, as I said, we didn't have any code written. All I have is the name of my README the name of my project which is present in the readme. Now let's come back. Let's come back to code. So let me just repeat. All we did was went to settings, went to pages, just changed the branch from none to main, and we went to actions, and that is where we got our link for the deployment. Now let's come back to code. Let's actually try to write some code. Let's actually try to create a basic website. So as we discussed, in order to create the websites, we'll need HTML, CSS, and JS. For today, let's focus on HTML. HTML, hypertext markup language, as discussed, is responsible for structure and content of a web page. So basically, the skeleton of the web page is created. It defines the elements and the layout of the page, including something called as headings, paragraphs, images, links, and other structural components. So let's have a look at these. So the first thing that we are going to implement in our code, in our HTML website, is a heading. Headings are used to define the hierarchy and the structure of the content. You might be seeing when you go to any e-commerce website, there are headings that are bold and have a certain size. Then some headings are still bold but small in size. Some headings are still bold but still smaller in size. So those are the different sizes of headings available in HTML. We have around 6 of them. They go from H1 to H6. So we have H1, H2, H3 up to H6. Let me show you how do they vary. So we are in our code block. Let's say add file and let's say create file. Let's try to create a website directly on GitHub. So first of all, let's name our website. You can name it anything. I can name it as index.html or structure.html. Make sure the extension is HTML so your code knows that you are writing an HTML file. So now, once done, now let's try to edit our file. So the first thing you do is you say doc type HTML. Just saying, even if you do not put this tag, it will still work. But many of the people would want to put a doc type HTML. Even if you don't put it, will still work. Because anyways, you are trying to tell over here that my extension is HTML. So even if you don't start from here and you directly start from HTML, both of them are fine. No issues with any of them. So now we have HTML tags. When we talk about tags, this is how HTML is written. This is your opening HTML tag. That's your closing HTML tag. The HTML tag is the one in which your entire HTML code is wrapped up. Within this HTML tag, we are going to write the other part of the code. So the HTML is divided into two parts. The first thing we have is the head open, and head close, the head tag. The next thing we have is the body tag. So body tag open and body tag close. Now, HTML, the HTML tag is the one which wraps all your code. Inside the HTML, you have two parts, the head and the body. Let's go inside the head and let's try to put the very first tag called title. For now, let's go inside the title and let's name the title as my website. Okay. And I'll just try to commit the change. If you remember what is commit the change, commit a change is basically saving your code. You want, you can give a description. Like for now, I have added a title. That's my first commit, right? So if you want, you can commit directly to the main branch, or if you want, you can create a new branch. So for now, let's stick to the first option, that is committing directly to the main branch. So I'll do the commit change. So now if you see, I have over here an index.html, right? And if I click over here, I have some code written. And if you see at the top right, you see this is the key code that was created when I made my first commit. So do you think this will be available on my website now that I have made a change? If you go back to actions, you should be able to see one more pages build and deployment happening, because you have updated your code. Now it's time for the GitHub to keep a track of it and update that in your live link also. So again, you can wait for a couple of minutes over here and it will give you the same link. So if you reload this within a couple of minutes, once this tick comes over here, once the deployment is done, it should be available. Let's have a look at it. Cool. So if you see, it's the same link. If we just reload this, cool. So the readme went away because now I have a code written, right? And you remember what was the title? If I just go back to the code and if I go back to index.html, you remember the title was my website. See, this is where the title comes in. At the top, the name of the tab is what your title is. So whatever change you are making over here gets shown on your output. So now let's put some more things. So title is the one that goes into the tab name. We were discussing about headings, right? Let's now create headings. So let's try to edit the file. All the things that you want to show on the screen go in the body tab. Please remember that. So I'll just put all the 6 headings and we'll try to see the change in them. So h1, this is the h1 heading. Let's write it like that. So in a similar way, let's go ahead and do the same for h2, h3, h4, h5 and h6. Make sure you have a good indentation. Make sure your code is presentable and not like how I was doing it. So cool. I made it look fine now. So h2, we have h3, we have h4, we have h5, we have h6. Make sure you end also the same type. So h2, h3, h4, h5 and h6. Also over here this is h1 heading, h2, h3, h4, 5 and 6. Let's commit the change again. This is my second commit. So I'll say add in headings. And if I commit the changes, if you see over here, now this is the next commit, the second commit. So if you go to history, it will show you how many commits you have made. So the first commit I had made was 3 minutes ago. The commit that I made right now was like a minute ago. And if you see, you have all the key unique key codes created over here. So if in case you want to go back sometime, you can restore or basically roll back to any previous update. So let's go back over here. Over here, again within a couple of seconds, it should be able to show you that. So according to what you can see on my screen, H1, the very first heading should be the biggest of all and H6 should be the smallest of all, given the fact that all of them are bold in nature. So let's go to actions. Let's see, it is still in deployment. So every time you make a change and if you want to, like look at the output of it, you will have to wait for a couple of minutes to see the output. So there you go, the deployment is done. There it is. So these are the different types of headings available in HTML. You can choose whichever you want to depending on your own requirement. You might have seen this in e-commerce websites as well. There are changes in the headings, the sizes of headings. So you can have a look at your own requirement and then try to put in the headings. So that was about headings. The next thing that comes is a paragraph. The difference between a heading and paragraphs is that paragraphs are used to group and present blocks of text, and also paragraphs are not bold in nature. They are simple font. So let's add some paragraphs and then let's try to look into the code. So let's go to index.html again. Since we want to show the code paragraph on the screen, we'll put it in the body tag. So I'll just put a p tag open, p tag close, and say, hey, it's 1st of June today. Welcome to WiselyWise's YouTube live. Let's commit changes. Added paragraph. That's my let's go to history. That's my third commit for today. Okay. So let's have a look at how the paragraph looks like. So according to the explanation, the p tag is used to define a simple paragraph. So when I say a simple paragraph, what will be the difference? That a paragraph will not be bold in nature the way these headings are. So if you look at it, even if the heading is h6, it is still bold in nature. However, the paragraph won't be. So let's again wait for a couple of minutes before we proceed. You can reload these Cool. There you go. So hey, it's the 1st of June. Okay, good spelling. Welcome to WiselyWise's YouTube Live. There you go. That is how your paragraph looks like. That was about paragraph. The next thing we have is images. What if you want to add images? So images enhance the visual appeal and convey information, right, on web pages. You are able to see various phone images and every sort of product images on the e-commerce website. So IMG tag is used to insert an image. Inside the IMG, we use an attribute SRC, or which basically stands for source, which tells you what is the image file location. So you can either have a local image or you can either have an image picked up from Google. You will need an SRC for both of them. Let's say I'll just have an image picked from Google. So in that scenario, let's search for an image. I'll search for a random image for now. Okay, and let's take it from Wikipedia. You see there is an copy image address, so you can go to there, copy the image address. Let's come back. Let us add it into our code. So index.html is what we are working on. Let's edit it. Let's put the img tag. Img tag is a self-closing tag. You don't have to open and close it. So img src, and you can put the link. Fun fact, you can either change the width and the height depending on how you want it to be. Let's say I want it to be 300 pixels and height also, let's say 300 pixels. So that is how you can do it. Now when I commit the changes, I can say added image, commit change. So what this will do, this will create an image first of all for me, an image object, and then it will find out this link like where the image is. Once it has found out the image, it will also apply the extra properties I have given it, that is the width and the height. It is pretty okay even if you don't apply this, and if you want them to be the same width and height, it is in here like in the actual link. But if in case you want to change the size, you can do it with CSS also, the cascading style sheet, since it also comes under style sheet. You can do it with your HTML also. Both of them are pretty fine. So let's wait a couple of seconds again. So if you look back to my code, make sure you remember image has an extra attribute src, because it is bound to us like which image. So there you go. We have a flying Pikachu for our website. So this is how you add the images. If you have a local file, make sure you add your local file location over here. If you have a file from the internet, you can do it the way I did. So that was about images. Now there is something called as hyperlink. Hyperlink allows the users to navigate between different web pages. It's the A tag or the anchor tag in HTML that helps you to do so. The HTML also requires an attribute, href, like where to refer. So in the href, we specify the URL of the destination page. Now when I say hyperlink, what does this mean? So you see this pip over here. So when I click on this, you see it navigates me to that particular web page. That is what a hyperlink looks like. Now let's say I want a hyperlink such that it will take me to the Instagram home page, let's say. So how can we do that? So in here, what you can do is, I'll do it just after the heading, okay? You can do it anywhere. The way you want to structure totally depends on you. So I'll have the A tag open and I'll have the A tag closed. And in the A tag, the first thing you have to do is ask it where to refer. So I'll just say http www.instagram.com, just an example. And in here, I can just say Instagram page. So in the middle, whatever you are saying, this means the text that will appear on the link. And first let us just commit added anchor tag, so that while the website is being created, we'll have the time. So A tag takes two things from you. First, so what will be the text that you'll be clicking on, and second, where to refer, like once you click on that text, where to refer to. So these are the two things you should put usually in the A tag. There can be scenarios in which, there is something called as an about us page, right? So that also can be done. You can create another HTML, something like this. So you can create one more HTML, href, and you can have the about.html. Let's assume we have an about.html created, okay? Currently I haven't, but let's assume I have. And over here, about me. So let's say I have a website, okay? and then there is a button over there about me. So when I click on that, it should actually take me to a page that talks about me, my name, my qualifications, my hobbies, why have I created this website, etc., etc. So you can create a separate file, like how we created index.html. You can create a separate file. Let's assume the name is about.html, and that is how you will be able to put it. So now let's see, over here do we have an about me? There you go. Sorry, hyperlink. So when I click on this, I am able to go to the home page of Instagram, right? So that is how a hyperlink works. So make sure you remember, hyperlink takes two things: href, that is the link of the website where to refer to, and click here, the text you want to be displayed. So over here I had Instagram page, so Instagram page. So currently we have covered the HTML, head, body, the headings, the paragraph image, and the anchor tag. Let's have a look. Apart from this, we have other HTML elements that we'll be focusing on soon. HTML provides a wide range of elements, to structure the content and to define its behavior, like different rows, different styles in different rows, etc. So elements are represented by tags, all of them, and they can have attributes to provide additional information. The two attributes we had a look at today were src and href. The different examples I can give you for HTML elements are the div tag. Div means division. It is used for grouping elements or creating different sections, creating rows in your HTML website. Span. Span is used for inline styling or for targeting specific text. Span and div are, like the widely used HTML elements available, the most commonly used. Then we have UL and LI. UL stands for unordered list. UL and LI, both of them are creating unordered list. When I say unordered list, lists that have bullet points in them. In a similar way, you can also have OL and LI, which is ordered list, which are used to create lists which have numbering 1, 2, 3, 4. If you have a look at this website, you can add all of these. So currently if you see, the headings are all in different rows, so we can use div tag to actually make them be in a single row or to position them. And then we can also use the ordered list, unordered list, to show any sort of list we have. You want to point out some majority of things. So that totally depends on the requirements, if you want to use ULLI or OLLI, unordered list or ordered list. So that was about the HTML elements that we have done so far. The other HTML elements, there are many. HTML is vast. We'll also look at CSS soon. So we'll talk about HTML and CSS soon in the next session as well. So if I just summarize things for you, we spoke about how HTML is the standard markup language for web development. It defines the structure and the content of the web pages. Headings, paragraphs, images, and links, basically the things we discussed today, are the fundamental HTMLs, the basic ones. We'll go in step 2 later in the next YouTube session that we'll be having in the next week. So understanding these basics, it sets the foundation for building web pages. Whatever we have covered today, it will just set a foundation for you, that okay, if we have known these stuff, then it will be easier to know the step 2 of what we have just learned. So uh, we at WiselyWise are proud to announce that we have a course, Mastering Version Control with GitHub, a beginner's guide to streamlining your coding workflow. So this course, basically, in this, learners like you will be learning how to use GitHub to collaborate on projects, to track the changes. So this course, it covers all the key features, such as pull requests, commits, branches, collaboration, how to use Git, GitHub, every single thing. So if in case you are interested in having a look at the course, you can reach us out on cxo@wiselywise.com, and also I'll be mentioning the link for the course in the description, and also a registration form. So just in case if you would like to know more about the course, this particular course, that is GitHub, or maybe any other course, you can just register on that. Please provide the required details so that we can reach out to you. And for other details for the course, you can also reach out to us at cxo@wiselywise.com. Now coming to how will this course actually help you. So this particular course, taking this GitHub course will be beneficial in various ways. It will help you to gain knowledge about version control, then repositories and other essential aspects of GitHub. Version control understanding. As we know, GitHub is built on Git, a powerful version control system which is widely used in software development. By taking this course, you will learn how to effectively use Git for tracking changes in your code base. You will gain a solid understanding of concepts like commits, branches, merging, resolving conflicts. This knowledge will enable you to collaborate more efficiently with other developers, manage code versions effectively, and also ensure the integrity and stability of your projects. Repository management. GitHub revolves around repositories which serve as central storage for your projects. Throughout the course, you will learn how to create, manage, and organize repositories effectively. You will also gain insights into essential repository management tasks such as adding and organizing files, creating branches, and setting up collaboration workflows. This knowledge will enable you to maintain a structured and organized code base, facilitating the teamwork and code sharing within your project. Collaboration and teamwork. GitHub is widely used for collaborative software development, as we all know. By learning how to use GitHub effectively, you will enhance your collaboration skills and improve teamwork. The course will cover features like pull requests, code reviews, and issue tracking, which are crucial for effective collaboration. You will understand how to propose and review changes, provide feedback to your peers, and manage project tasks and discussions. These skills will help you become a more effective and valuable team member in software development projects. Versioning and documentation. GitHub also provides an excellent platform for versioning your code and documenting your project. Throughout the course, you will learn how to use tags and releases to mark important milestones in your project. You will also explore GitHub wiki feature for creating project documentation. By utilizing all these features, you can keep a track of your project versions, document important information, and create a user-friendly documentation that can be accessed even by your team and the wide developer community as well. Last but not the least, community engagement and open source. GitHub has a vibrant community of developers, as we all know, and it is widely used for open source software development. So, by learning GitHub, you will gain the access to community and you will be able to engage with other developers, share your projects, and contribute to open source initiative. Overall, the GitHub course will equip you with valuable knowledge and skills in version control, repository management, collaboration, and community engagement. These skills will not only make you more proficient in using GitHub, but will also boost your effectiveness as a developer and enhance your overall software development workflow. So, just in case uh, if you are interested in knowing more about the course, feel free to email us on reach us on cxo@wiselywise.com, and in the description I'll be putting in the link of the form, so you can just register on that form with the correct details, and I'll be also providing the link of the course. You can just have a look at them. Now, one last thing that comes into my mind is how will learning GitHub help with job opportunities? Learning GitHub can greatly benefit your job opportunities in the field of software development and related areas. Here are some ways in which GitHub proficiency can positively impact your career aspect. Industry standard being the first. GitHub has become the industry standard for version control and collaboration in software development. Many companies and organizations utilize GitHub or similar platforms for managing their code repositories and collaborative workflows. Having expertise in GitHub demonstrates that you are familiar with the tools and practices widely used in the industry, making you a valuable asset to potential employers. Second comes the collaboration and teamwork. GitHub offers robust collaboration features like pull requests, code reviews, and issue tracking. These tools facilitate effective teamwork and code collaboration within development teams. By showcasing your proficiency in GitHub, you demonstrate your ability to work effectively in a team environment, coordinate with other developers, and contribute to collaborative projects. This is highly valued by employers as teamwork and collaboration are essential skills in most of the job roles. Third is a portfolio showcase, very important. GitHub provides a platform for showcasing your coding projects and contributions. Creating and maintaining a GitHub profile with a portfolio of your work allows potential employers to assess your coding skills, like the quality of your code and your ability to manage projects using version control. A strong GitHub profile acts as a tangible evidence of your capabilities and can greatly enhance your job prospects. especially for roles that involve coding and development. Open source contributions. GitHub is widely used for open source development, which encourages a collaboration and knowledge sharing. Contributing to open source projects on GitHub demonstrates your commitment to learning, improving your skills, and giving back to the developer community. Employers value candidates who actively participate in open source projects as it showcases their passion for coding and the ability to work in a distributed team. Last but not the least, we have visibility and networking. GitHub provides an important opportunity to connect with the other developers, companies, and organizations. It allows you to follow developers, explore their projects, engage in discussions, etc. By actively participating in the GitHub community, you can expand your professional network, gain exposure to potential job opportunities, and increase your visibility in the industry. So, in summary, learning GitHub can significantly enhance your job opportunities in a software development environment. It demonstrates your familiarity with industry standard tools, then your ability to collaborate efficiently, and also your commitment to continuous learning and improvement. It also provides a platform to showcase your work, connect with others in the industry, and contribute to open source projects. Employers recognize these skills and experiences, making GitHub proficiency a valuable asset in your career growth. So I hope all of these options were, like enough to answer the question, how will learning GitHub actually help you in getting the job opportunities? And I hope the session was, like fun and interactive to make sure we know that how we can use GitHub and how exactly is GitHub important. So thank you all for being so patient for today. If in case you have any queries and concerns, you can reach out to us at cxo@wiselywise.com, or you can have a look at the courses available at www.wiselywise.com. I'll see you soon in our next YouTube live session, which will be on next Thursday at 6. So until then, have a great evening ahead, and do feel free to put any suggestions or feedbacks if you have in the comment section below. Thank you so much for having us. Have a nice day.